Glad to have you on the program, Perspectives, this morning. And again, a special edition of it, so to say. And it's about what you and I must know about, and that's talking about pension. Now, there's so much, controversy on the pension scheme in Kaduna State. But glad to say that we have in our studios the Executive Secretary of the Kaduna State Pension Bureau, Professor Salamatu Isa, is with us this morning. Professor Salamatu, good morning and glad to have you with us.
Good morning.
Yes, and as to put meat also into what we're discussing this morning, I have Musa Madaha. He is the APT Pension Regional Manager, Northwest. Musa Madaha, good morning and glad to have you with us here today.
Thank you. Good morning.
Yes. Professor Salamatu, let me come to Kaduna State. There's been so much heat and misunderstanding and complaints about the pension scheme of the state, so much that some people say that after retirement takes them years after and all of that. So let's just get the air cleared about the pension situation in Kaduna State.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. Pension is actually a regular income received by a person at retirement when he or stops working because of having reached a certain age, maybe 50 years and above. And the benefits usually to cater for him at that period when he's no more working. And in Kaduna State, we seem to have two pension schemes running. We have the old defined benefit, which is the old scheme, and then we have the contributing pension scheme. Benefit to someone who has retired. And in this case, usually when calculating this amount, it depends on the length of service you put in, your age, which usually we expect that you should put in 35 years. And we can say someone is pensionable when in that old system, if he reaches a minimum of 10 years in service, a maximum of 35 years. So while the contributing pension is more by the two, both the employer and the employee, we have certain percentage that the employer has to contribute monthly, while the employee also needs to contribute a certain percentage from his monthly salary. For example, in Kaduna State, the percentage share of the employer is 8%. So that we have what we call return. There's profit gain at the end of the year, which we usually ask them to give us the report of such returns on investment. And contributing.
That was said, and in all of this, for the PFA, your role in sorting out, the pensions for the pensioner.
Okay. We have a vital role that we are playing. You see, let me just look at the past a little bit. Prior to 2004, the federal government of Nigeria was owing a huge sum of money to the tune of about 2 trillion, only in pension alone. And if this allowed to continue, there will be a time when the government can no longer pay retirees. Why? Because the focus is the retirees number will be higher than that of current employees. You see, and if you are dealing with current employee, you will not start thinking of a retiree. And the retiree is always thinking, I served for 35 years. I need to get something in return. So the government decided to change the policy and now turn into what is called CPS, Contributory Pension Scheme, where employee contributes and also employer match the same percentage. Then later in 2014, there was an amended act which repealed the law, at least to make it more accommodating and more flexible for the employees. Now, the law gave birth to 3 organizations. The National Pension Commission, who is the regulator, then the custodian banks where the monies are kept, because then the pension fund administrators, that is where I am working currently. Currently, we have about 24 pension fund administrators. These monies are kept in the banks. The pension fund administrators have no access to the monies. They only have access to the money when it comes to investment. They give directives on the investments. Payments are made through also the custodians. So if peradventure you leave service, at the time you retire, after all possible documentations and whatever that comes up, then the PFA or the pension fund administrator will now give an instruction of payments into your account after getting an approval from National Pension Commission, who is the regulator, because we don't just make payments. One. Two, or receiving of these monthly deductions, because our role is to open and maintain the retirement savings account for each employee. Now, when you open a retirement savings account as an employee of either private or public sector, then the monies will be coming into the bank direct from the employer. Then the bank, the custodian bank, will now notify the PFA, because there are 4 banks now that are designated for that purpose, registered and licensed by National Pension Commission. I don't need to call the names. Yes. So these 4 banks that were designated for this purpose, each and every PFA must have a bank within these 4 who is going to be their custodian. So the monies are kept there. We are to invest, and we are regulated in the investments. We are to only invest in capital market, money market, bonds and securities, treasury bills, and then real estates. We are restricted. If not this area, we have no reason to invest anywhere. And even in terms of the investment itself, it has been, a percentage has been given. Like in bonds, we can invest up to 100% of AUM, which means total asset under management. You see, for each PFA, it has a limit. It has the asset that is managing, depending on their coverage, depending on how they can chip into the market. So that asset under management, in total, it can be kept. It can be invested in bond. That is the regulation. Like for stock, initially when the law came, it allows us only to keep or to invest 25%. Now, looking at the global economic meltdown and the challenges in the capital market or in the stock market, now the regulators now reduce it to 15%, just to reduce the burden for the employees. If there is a loss, at least the employees might not even realize there is any loss. Because at the end of the day, you find each and every contributor must in turn get a return on investment. Now, after the investment, there is a percentage of how the investment should be shared. So it is out of this percentage that the balance will be now shared equally depending on what you have in your retirement savings account. So using a unit value by each PFA. That is in a nutshell.
Okay. Professor Salamatu, I need to ask this before we go on this break. That can a retired worker get his gratuity like, in the old pension scheme? With the new one, we have the old and the new, but can a retired, worker get his gratuity?
He does. Yeah, he does. Once he reaches the age of 35 years or 50 years in service, he can have access to it.
Well, I do know, again, I'm asking this question because I do know that some people, on this program have come to say that retiring at 2014 and up till now haven't got their bulk payment, so to say.
Yes, that's what I say. When you call retiree of 2014, it means they are in the old pension scheme.
Yes.
And in the old pension scheme, just as I said, we have limited resources to pay their gratuity on time, but each one of them is on a queue. And we take payment batch by batches. Currently, we have exhausted most of the 2014, 2015. We are in 2016. If you had anybody that is in 2014, he has not been paid, then he has issue that he needs to clear with us. For example, the state take responsibility of the gratuity for state employee, while the local government take responsibility of their employees at the local government level in that old pension scheme. because you know that the federal government has declared that there shouldn't be any joint account between the local government. So that's why that separate payment comes in. And we expect for Kaduna State that every local government should make a contribution of 13 million per month so that we be able to salvage the situation of paying gratuity on time. So with limited resources and when you have large number, there's nothing you can do except to pay those that you are able to pay and then make a schedule for another next batch. So we are about covering for state, we are about entering 2017 for now. But for local government, we still have those who have not moved out from the 2014 or 15, for possible one way or the other. And you know, of recent, the local government seems not to have enough resources because the issue is revenue collection. That's what determines what resources you should.
Prof, so I asked this question because,
yes.
again, I'm looking at the bulk payment. So some people would say the bulk payment is what you use to plan your future and money to invest or whatever wants to do. So in the course of this discussion or conversation, you told me that previous administration had left some things undone.
Yes,
exactly. And so you know, it's a rollover, a takeover. How do these workers understand this? That after working for all this years, they left. So,
well, it's unfortunate because if actually they are doing what this current administration is doing, they will have salvaged the situation then. So you can imagine an administration coming in to find a debt of 15 billion on ground for those that they have accounted for now. But we still have people that even their file has not been verified at that period of time. And we need to verify that. What I mean by verification is taking the files to calculate their entitlement and schedule them. So we still have that issue of if only those debts were settled, then we would have this existing huge amount of bundle of paying gratuity. Mm-hmm. It's an issue of moving. We could have moved to the new pension scheme where the bundle of paying gratuity will not lie with the government, but only what you have contributed. And since the government is making sure that they have contributed their monthly 8% entitlement to your RSA, then we have no issue now. And I'm very comfortable that since I came on board, even before I came on board, that remittances of the employee and the employer in Kaduna State has been steady. We have no issue with that. So anybody retiring now will not have. The only issue that we have is the backlog, which I've already explained to you that every monthly wage bill, 5% of it is dedicated to an account to make sure that we have a strategy of reducing the burden on the state so that we can pay retirees. Well, there's no way we can take the bulk of everybody and say we are going to pay them at a time. Yes, it's not possible because of the resources.
Resources.
This is exactly why I said there was a lot of deficit in terms of payment of pension. If you look at it this way, the burden is now lying on the government. Projects here and there, then payment of salary, at the same time payment of gratuities and monthly pension. Now, if you say you have to take it this way without decentralizing, obviously there will be a day when the government cannot pay gratuity talk less of monthly pension. So if you look at this way, the government has to look for a possible way of reducing the burden on itself, just to make sure that everybody is happy. Now, let me give you a simple reference. If you have a gentle young guy now that just went into an employment, say he has graduated today and he's employed, you see, in the next 35 years, he will be the one to save whatever he is going to pay himself in future. The government is not owing him anything. He is not owing the government nothing. At the end of his career service, he will just go to his PFA, make documentations. In the next 1 month, PFA can prepare his benefit payments and start paying him. His pension will now come as at when due until death. Now, one thing, let me give you just a scenario. If you retire today and you are under old system, your pension, the person that retires before, that is under old system, he is entitled to 5 years pension as long as he is alive. After 5 years, if he dies, his family will have nothing to carry home.
Yeah, I think
if he does not die.
No, I will pick on that. I will pick on that. You see, in the old scheme, you have what we call mandatory 5 years. Now, mandatory 5 years is the minimum years that you could enjoy pension. but you could surpass that if you're alive. So assuming you are now you've commenced pension after retirement age of 60, and you were only able to enjoy 3 years, and you died. Now, when you come, if you have not collected your gratuity, your next of kin is, and we will calculate the remaining 2 years from that 5 years if not enjoy, and then add to your gratuity. That's what we pay as death benefit to that. But now, when we previously we say resources, and you will say resources, yes. Now, the responsibility of government in the old pension is not just the gratuity issue; it has to do with the monthly pension as well. And then you look at the salary issue as well, and then expenditure to all that sector of the economy as well. The resources actually matters. For example, I'll give you numbers. If I say we have about 9,000 plus pensioners on the payroll, on pension payroll monthly, at local government level, and then we have over 10,000 as pensioners in state level, making it over 20,000. Now we have what we call I'm Alive, which is also part of the delay that I will explain now. I'm Alive is an app that was put in place just to deter people that are not eligible pensioners to get access to pension. Now, when you are a pensioner in Kaduna State, you go to that app every month and every three months to have a facial biometric capture to show us that we call it I'm Alive, to show that you are still alive. So we continue with your pension. Now, if you have over 10,000, so what helps us to manage the pension payroll now is that I'm Alive. Once you have not gone there to do the thumb printing and the facial capturing, it suspend you for some time until we do it. So we have what we call active pensioners. Active pensioners monthly are those who have done that verification exercise. Now, in May alone, we have 6,947 for state, which that is the active pensioner from that 10,000. Now the state government needs to pay their pension, and at that May, the state government spent over 698 million to just pay the payroll, monthly payroll. For local government, in May we have 4,267, and the local government paid 319 million. That's just monthly pension. Now, if I take you back from January 2020 to December 2020, the state government pay 5.8 billion as monthly pension, while local government pays 4 point something billion as pension. Now we are just talking about pension payroll. We are not talking of how much we spend as gratuity. We are not talking of how much the state is contributing into the individual RSA, and then how much that 5% of the total wage bill is taking off its resources to dedicate to the accrual right account again. So these are all issues, and I know that when pensioner don't look at this issue, but as a state you look at all these issues, where your resources are going, and how can you have enough resources to other carry out other responsibility of infrastructural development and so many things. We are not saying no, that this is not an issue. It is, but the huge amount that goes into pension in Kaduna State is quite large, and the queue, people don't understand that. We have dedicated account, we have strategy on ground on how to service situation. So we need to take them batch by batch. So if someone has retired 2014, as I said earlier, we have paid many of the 2013 and 2014. We have paid many of the 2014 and 14, 15, 16. We are about entering 2017 in state. For anybody who say he has not received from those years that have said, possibly is because he has one issue or the other.
Okay.
And it's another thing that I want to point out. Someone will tell you that he has retired in 2014, but you also know that there's a process flow of processing his file before he reaches the pension bureau. Possibly before that file comes to pension bureau, it must be 2015. So if you say he's retired 2014, but we may have his name in 2015 because the processing of that file came to the bureau in 2015. So these are some of the things that some people don't understand. They will just say, I retired 2014, I didn't get, but we didn't get the file in 2014. We got the file in 2015. But this is not an excuse. I'm just explaining the process flow of how you process files and verify them and then put them on the queue.
Okay. All right. We'll go for a commercial break. We'll be back with you shortly. Welcome back. Here's the program Perspective, special edition of it. And we're looking at the pension scheme in Kaduna State and, of course, all the controversies that may surround it and getting clarity from it. The Executive Secretary of Kaduna State Pension Bureau with us here in the studios this morning, and Musa Madaha, APT Pension Regional Manager, Northwest, also with us. Musa, let me quickly take you on this. Contributions, of government and, of course, workers in the scheme. How is it going on, and is government playing its part? Because questions have been asked, and some people have asked the question that, yes, you asked me to pay, I pay while working, and at the end of it, I get delay in, why are we having this controversy?
Yeah, you see, contribution is quite different from getting delay in payment. The monthly contributions, you see, as professors earlier said, contributions are coming from the two sides. From the side of employee, that is the existing employer, acting employee, 7%. Employer remits 8%. That is making 15%. That 15% is coming to us as the pension fund administrators. We are we are receiving the payment. In Kaduna State, comparatively, as I was in one program, I said I worked in different locations under this pension scheme with the same organization before I came to Kaduna. The experience I had was, I think there are some states that even do not match their contribution. Their own percentage is only employee contribution. But when I came to Kaduna, I found a different system where the employer contributes as at when due. I think Kaduna State is currently not owing any contribution. So certainly they are remitting the way it is. You see, because from the Act it says a defaulting employer is liable to penalty 7 days after payment of salaries if the employer refuses to remit the pension contribution. That means he is in default. Then he is liable to be penalized. There is what is called penalty. And then if the state government is not even remitting, I think the penalty will be huge for the government to even take over and take care of, regardless of looking at the challenges they earlier had.
Delay in salaries, sometimes it goes for, I'm particularly not referencing Kaduna now, but something
It's
what
general.
we've seen, so in general, that 3 months, 4 months, and the contributions of workers, delayed, and so.
Contribution of worker is not delayed in Kaduna.
Okay.
No, he's saying irrespective. He's taking general.
I'm taking
data.
the general,
Yes,
yes.
general
So what are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts?
Yes, I mean, when salaries are delayed, workers do not get paid for 3 months. I mean, we hear that. I mean, it's a general
You
thing
see,
that I'm
if
talking
salary is not paid, it's an understandable system. Salary is not paid, you don't even expect the pension
Yeah,
to
but
come.
the arrears could be paid.
But
The
arrears
could
have to be paid.
When the
If
government
there is a
in
default for maybe
resources.
3 months, when you are remitting, you have to remit 3 months because it will categorically state, because this
when you
workers,
talked about penalties for delay,
it
and
will
that
be
was
charged. The arrears
Okay.
of the penalty will be charged
Okay.
because it's multiplying every day. The penalty is about the amount, is 1% of the total amount you are owing, or 2% of the total amount you are owing. So if you are owing 1 month, 1 month is 1 million, maybe you will be charged a penalty of 2% of 1 million. If for 2 months you are owing 2 million, penalty of 2 million will be charged. So you see, the more the delay, the more the penalty increases.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Prof, let me come to you quickly on this one. That's on verification. Now, that has caused a lot of, questions being asked about why have we not put in place a proper system of verification that people, getting verification, go through hardship, suffer, some have been told to come down and at old age and all of that put together. Verification and Why there's so much stress on that?
Well, for verification, it's necessary because if you actually want to know the genuine pensioners, in order to minimize the cost of what I just said, the pension payroll and gratuity issue. Now, verification exercise that we started in April was for those on the pension payroll, monthly pension, which is the defined benefit, the old system, because we don't pay pension in the new system. So for that, we realize there are pensioners on our payroll that we don't have much details on, and the verification was done in between 2015 2016, and we realized that the pension bureau do not have this more detailed information about the pensioners, and there are pensioners with different date of birth. And then this issue of new documents by the federal government that we also feel we should incorporate into the pension payroll profile as well of each individual, like the name, which is a national identification number. Some of them do not have VBN. We need to know the telephone number. Some of them have given us old telephone, possibly they have one number. And then we also need to know some of the documents also, like the primary school certificate. Some of the complaint is why primary school certificate, why secondary school or other qualification at the point of when you are a retiree. Well, as I said, there are a lot of pensioners without genuine date of birth. Now, if you take the primary school certificate, for example, in all primary school certificate, we have where we say date of birth. Now, we wanted to collate that information and actually compare it with what you are giving us, as well as what you have given the NIPSI. That's the organization that registers for the national identity number. And then we also wanted to see, to verify whether the detail you gave when you wanted to have your national ID card is the same as the detail we are having. This is just one way of collating the information and then genuinely go into it and search on a particular pensioner, whether it is genuine information that we have. Now, for those who did not go to school, for example, a primary school, of course, we are not expecting a primary school certificate from them. So some take it like just wanted to punish people and say provide primary school certificate. For me, if you have gone to school and you have a certificate, it is a document that you need to put, you need to save for rainy days. So if you have gone to school and we say provide the document, because these are the same document that you use in getting employment. And for you to have been placed in a particular grade or cadre in the point of entry into the service. So if we calculated your pension based on your year of service or the grade level that you were, and we say we wanted to verify where actually when you were exiting, that particular level is where you were, or at the entry port, that grade level is where you are. Of course, your qualification will show us. And civil servant, I'm not saying all, some civil servant, when they're about retiring, they will go back to start changing years, dates, so that the retirement date will draw back so that they will not retire on time. You want to die in service. Yes. So you may find during verification, someone with about 3, in checking their document, you see 3 date of birth, different date of birth, So these are some of the issues. And then we also find out that the verification that was done in 2015, 2016, which was not conducted by Bureau itself, there are people whose parents died and they came with those documents and they did the verification exercise. I will tell you this was possible because the parent, for the VBN issue, the parents were not the one who came at that 2015. So we were not able to detect them because the facial biometry was captured by that person. Even the thumb printing was done by that person, not the parent. So he was placed on the pension payroll. For now, so if you claim that you are so person, and we say, what's your date of birth? And we saw that the document you have does not correspond with your date of birth or your future, because you have to come physically. Your physical appearance does not match that date of birth. We know that this is not the person. And then we also make sure that the residency registration agency was with us. Immediately we get your form with your passport on it. We quickly give it to them to verify on the listing platform whether this same person is the same as what is appearing, or the same name, or whatever it is. So we had more other way of verifying it. So we caught many people, those who were using their parents' documents to come for the verification, those who were using fake documents for verification, So these are some of the issues. It's not that we want to, and we had a schedule for every local government, for every person under the ministry. If we don't use ministry, we use the bank and call you for the verification. And we also announced, it was a continual announcement, that those who were sick should just notify us, so that it should not come. When we finish those who are well, then we call for those. We can go on a field trip to see those who reported sick, so that we can take their verification identity and so on. So these are some of the issues.
Let's quickly get you out there, give out to the public domain. Let's get your thoughts here about what we're talking about, the pension scheme in Kaduna State, and of course controversies being cleared about what may be happening now. Call us on numbers 081 40,000 989, 081 40,000 989, or 070 87 800 989, 070 87 800 989. Do you have a problem with your pension or on the pension scheme in Kaduna State? Let's get to hear you on that now.
Then let me come in again. And during the verification also, we have people that were disengaged, for example, who have not reached the age of 60, but disengaged. Now, for such person, the law said if he's not 50 or 60, when he's 45 years of age, he can actually come back and commence a pension, 45 years. But you see that sometimes those who were disengaged will find a way of coming back to the system to be employed while they already enrolled into the pension bureau. Now, it means you will be losing money because you are paying him salary and then you are paying him pension again.
Okay. Quickly on this. Hello, good morning. Good morning.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Is this Victor?
Hello?
The radio.
Okay, on that.
So for such a person, once you have been placed under the pension payroll, you're not supposed to take up another job within the same system, or even at state or local government, even at federal level. You even if you have to, since you are not aged, we can say you come back.
Okay, let me take this one. Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Good morning.
Yeah. Please, my name is Solomon.
Okay, Solomon.
Yes. I have a problem. I am with the app pension.
You're welcome, Mr. Solomon.
Hello?
Yeah,
Go on, we can hear you.
You see, my problem is I have been receiving alert from them of my balance. So it's I think it was this year that it ceased, early this year. I'm not seeing the balance. But suddenly I start seeing it again, but the money does not correspond. It dropped drastically. So I don't know whether the person there, you said that with the app, whether you can clarify me on what is the problem.
Good morning, Mr. Solomon.
Morning, sir.
Yes. Please, have you ever think of visiting the APT office for this issue?
Yeah, yes.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
When you went there, what were you told?
They just gave me one form to fill.
Your issue doesn't have to do with form. This tells me that you have not gone there. Let us be realistic. If you have a problem, okay, what we do? Please, can you come to the office on Monday? Where are you staying now?
I'm in Ngomboro.
Okay. You see, that is why I say you have never gone to the office. Because if you have not gone to the office, I cannot know your problem. I cannot see
The office
everybody.
is at the Bank of Industry. That office that is in the Bank of Industry.
Please, at your leisure time, maybe on Monday or within next week or upper week, feel free to come. When you come, just ask of the regional manager office. Come direct to my office. I will sort it out for you. Inshallah.
All right.
Okay. All right.
Okay, I should go on.
Yes, please.
So for those people, when they get new job, they're actually supposed to come back to the bureau to give us a notice that we have gotten a job. So we stop their pension, and then whenever they retire from the new job, then they come back to us. We calculate our own portion of the pension, and then the new place that he is working, where he retired, we also give him his own portion of his entitlement. But people don't see pension money as government money that they just need to take away, you know. And it's something that it's actually taking so much resources, and we want these people to own up. If they are working, they should come to buy pension, because if we find out that they are actually working, that's a crime.
Okay. Hello, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you. Your name and where you're coming from?
My name is Abdullah Farouk from Bandar Kaduna.
Okay, Abdullah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was privileged to be in the pension exercise. I took an aged parent of mine. But I equally heard from your resource people there in the studio. I think we need to be abreast with modern way of doing things. I mean, this public, we have to weigh in which times are we? We're in times of insecurity, and we've had an experience, you know, in Zaria, where some civil servants went for such exercise, and we knew the catastrophe that happened. I mean, this is no rocket science for you to try to verify things. I mean, you keep doing the same monopolistic manual exercise year in, year out in the name of verification, putting people's life at danger. I mean, there are better ways. You said you want to collect data. We have national data that are being integrated now, like the NIMC and so on. You could ask these people's information, get corresponding details about them, and then get what you want to get.
Okay, Abdullah, we got you on that. Prof,
I can understand why Abdullah is bringing the issue of doing things manual. We actually try to see that you can also do your verification. If we get an app that you can do your verification at the comfort of your house. But the issue is, how do you consider local government area that do not have a network, for example? And how do you, when someone is doing his verification exercise at home, how do you know that person is actually genuine? Because we need to cross-check that, the genuinity of aspect of it. And we are not saying we are not going to do that. Of course, we are moving forward. We've already strategizing on how to do, if we need to do another verification in future, if we don't have much issues with this one that we are having. And we, during that verification exercise, if you listened earlier, I said we were collaborating with the Kaduna State Resident Registration Agency, who has the NIPSI platform, which assists us to actually verify people with that app, to know that that person is genuine with what the information that we have and those on the NIPSI platform. But there are limitations to what we got from the NIPSI platform, and there are original document that we need to scan into the profile of that person that we are capturing. So these are key issues. Even if we do it, we still need to scan things. And we can't take all our gadgets to a local government, but we are trying to see how we can lessen that burden on people. In terms of the insecurity issue that you raised, we had a schedule, and we scheduled some high security prone areas like Bindingwari. Those in Bindingwari, we actually sent a team to go and do the verification exercise, collate their forms and all other original copies of their document, which we scan at the bureau. And we told them they don't need to come down to the pension bureau until when the security issue it has reduced. For Bindingwari, for Giwa, we all went there. Zone 3, all the local government in Zone 3, we sent our team there to do the verification. The only thing that remains for them, which we said, is they have to come down to do the facial capturing and the thumb printing, because we could not. It's not every of the local government we have network to do that verification exercise. So we were considerate of the insecurity areas. And we did our best. But you know how pensioners are, because the perception they had is, once we say if you don't come for the verification, you are not going to get your pension arrears. Many people were still coming down, even when the team we are working at the various locations. So these are some of the issues. But we agree with you. Yes, we cannot continue doing things manually. We are strategizing to see, even at the within the government system. Once we have genuine data with the head of service, of course, we can actually integrate into that system and get what we want from each pensioner in the future.
Okay, Musa, let me get your last line. Your last line. I'm wrapping up the program. So
okay. Mine is, and I think I only want to employ on the people to just take the pension system with a good faith. Obviously, it's something that has to come and that has come to stay. And we need to, life is static. It changes from time to time. If we cannot make ourselves adjustable, then obviously we will be having challenges, especially like states like Kaduna, where they used to do things, at least they are trying their best. I can say I'm not working for Kaduna, I'm not under Kaduna, I'm not working for government. But what I am seeing, I am more or less a privatized somebody. Private organizations mostly do things at the right time. And that is how we are seeing Kaduna is speaking in that aspect. Because if you look at this, the rate of contribution, let me tell you this. Last 2 weeks, we received the payment of accrued right of some of the employees that retired. The professor was even surprised why 2017 people are still in the list. So, which means something is being done and they are moving forward. So let people just look at it in a good faith and believe things will be at the best level.
Okay, thank you. Professor, let me just get your last line here.
Yeah, my last line is when you say contribute pension scheme, it's not just about civil servant, but it also means self-employed people can actually join in as contributors to that scheme, because we have what the PFA has what they call micro pension plan, which is for formal and informal formal sector to participate. So this is what we're going to do next to encourage people in Kaduna State to actually register in such platforms so that everyone is carried along. It's not only when except when you're a public servant that you now make your contribution, but you can be a pensioner even when you are self-employed or operating in the private sector.
Professor Salamatu Issa, thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
And Musa Madaha, thank you for being on the program.
It's a pleasure, sir.
That's about the size of this special edition of Perspectives. We're just having a chat with Professor Salamatu Issa, the Executive Secretary of the Kaduna State Pension Bureau. And with us too is Musa Madaha, APT Pension Regional Manager, Northwest. We thank them for coming on the program. We'll come back with Perspectives on Monday. Have a wonderful weekend.